Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to part 3 of Advice for Life. The Rebbe's good advice for living a more purposeful life. Yes.
We all get books.
You got a book. You left it at home.
I did.
Yes, you did. I'm sorry. There's no other book. You have a book at home. No. It's laying there on your desk. Anyways, sorry for the interruption. Well, let me take this again from the top. Welcome to everybody. Part 3 of Advice for Life, the Rebbe's instructions on how to live a more purposeful life. Tonight we are going to be dealing with the issue of wholesome health. Wholesome health. Wholesome health. The Rebbe's advice on people that unfortunately are going to be battling an illness, but not only an illness, also dealing with fitness. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been with me for the past couple of weeks, you know already that the underlying theme, how the Rebbe looked at the world, was from what we call a non-dualism perspective. Meaning, we all live in our lives with a duality. Yeah, there's spirituality, and then there's physicality. What happens outside and what happens in the shul is two different things. The way we act in shul is one way. The way we act at home is a different way. When we deal with God, we deal one way. When we deal with outside of the purview of mitzvahs and Torah, it's a different way. So our world is kind of a dual world. To the Rebbe, there was no differentiation. The spiritual and the physical were all one. God created both the physical world and the spiritual world, and that's how we looked. Today we would call this holistic, a holistic view on a world view, that everything is one, created by God, and what happens in the world comes from God and is created by God, and that's how the Rebbe looked at the world. And that's why we talked about in the first lesson, we talked about work. Now, not to look at work as a necessary evil, but to look at work as something purposeful. That whatever work that you do, regardless of what you do and regardless of what you make in it, this is what we came down on earth to do. So enjoy it and use it for the purpose of creating God's garden here on earth. Last week we talked about familial bliss, and how to look at a family and how to deal with a family. And again, in this idea of this holistic approach to the world, that spirituality, the Torah and the mitzvahs are part and parcel of our existence, even when it comes to physical and materialistic things. So here tonight we are going to be dealing with this issue of illness, and of what did I say before? Fitness and illness. Okay. So what I want everyone to do, for those who have a book, doesn't matter. I want you to turn to, we're going to go to text number 1, which is going to be found on your page 61. But again, if you don't have it, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to be reading it, so you listen closely, okay? Now, there are two things in this world, two properties, form and matter. There is spirit, and then there is matter, okay? So we're going to take a view of what it means, form and matter. This is how the Rebbe looked at the world. There is a school of teaching that promotes the predominance of form over matter, meaning, spirituality over the physicality. It expounds on the unique quality of the material when it is purified. Meaning, God gave us all of these wonderful things in the world, food and leisure and travel and everything. We go around. And when we do with all of these materialistic things, is we purify them. We make them into holiness. And the unique quality of form when integrated with the material. The two are to be so thoroughly fused that one cannot detect where either of them begins or ends, for their beginning is wedged into their end, and the end into their beginning. The one God created them both, and for one purpose, to reveal the light of holiness of His hidden power. Only both of them together complete the perfection desired by the Creator, and this is the school of teaching of Hasidim. That form and matter, spirituality and physicality, whatever it is, are not two separate and distinct ideas, but they are both together, fused together. Now, we don't always see it that way, We don't always look at it that way, because when we look at physical things, we see the physicality in it. It takes training and a tremendous amount of dedication to this idea of non-dualism, to see that in this pitcher of water or in this cup of tea, there is a spiritual aspect to it. There is spiritualism, there's holiness in this tea. Now think about it, right? It's a cool night here in California. You come in, you warm yourself up. So it's not only warming the body, it's also warming the soul, because now with the tea, you're able to concentrate better, you're able to listen better, you're able to perform better. So there, and that view of seeing everything through the lenses of this idea of non-dualism is a wonderful gift that the Rebbe had and shared. And that's the way he looked, basically, at everything. No. So how do we deal with this issue of illness? So let me ask you a question. When you're sick, how do you view it? That you're sick or that you're healing? Think about this for a second. Here's the question. You're not feeling well, so I'm asking you, are you sick or are you healing? So most of us would say, we're sick. Right, I'm sick, I'm not healing, I'm sick. I'm in the throes, I am this. I'm sick. Aha. That's the issue. Tonight, we're going to get you to change your perspective. Okay? Instead of saying that I am sick, you are now going to say what? I am healing. I am healing. Great? Because that is what we want to do, right? We want to be able to say I'm healing rather than I am sick. And why do we want to say that? That's going to be the crux of tonight's class, and you'll have to wait. But I just want to share with you a Hasidic thought. Okay? This is a Hasidic thought. You ever notice that you never think about your limbs and your organs? Like you wake up in the morning. Do you think about your limbs and your organs? No.
I do.
Oh, okay. All right, wait. I'm not talking about the Alta AKs here in the room. I'm talking about people that get up in the morning, that just go through it, and you go through the day. You are not thinking about how your leg is working unless, hold on, unless, and we'll get to that unless in a moment. But normally, you don't think of your organs or your limbs. If they're working properly, right? If they're working properly, you never think about them. We say the blessings in the mornings to remind us that our sight is a gift from the Almighty. You don't think in the morning, wow, look at me. I'm so excited. I woke up this morning and I can see the alarm clock. Or I can hear Chani scream at me. I'm so happy my ears are working. I get Chani to scream at me in the morning. Thank God my ears are working. Or, my pants, they don't fit anymore like they used to. But they, thank God, they still fit. So it's wonderful. We don't think about that. We don't think about our natural ability to do things, and certainly, our digestive system and all of this. If everything is working perfectly, we never think about them. Only when all of a sudden, oh my goodness gracious, you catch a bug, especially like a stomach bug, then all of a sudden your entire day is ruined. Because all you're thinking about is your stomach and what you could eat, what you can't eat, and this, and your stomach is bothering you, etc., etc. Now, why is that? Why don't we think of this every day? And why do we only think of it when they're hurting or something is going wrong? So you can explain it from, we talk about evolution and an evolutionary stand. Pain came about to tell us, hey, there's something wrong, So God forbid if you're walking without shoes and you step on a stone or you get a cut at the bottom of your foot, you want to know that there's danger ahead. So what happened? So what did we evolve into? Pain. That's how pain came along, to tell you, hey, there's something wrong, be careful. No. Okay, so that's from an evolutionary standpoint. From the Hasidic standpoint, the reason is that as long as the limbs, now think about this for a second. I know this is going to be a little hard to grasp. As long as the limbs don't feel independent, they're okay. They realize that they are only receiving their power from God Himself. Through the godly soul, and a spark of godliness makes your legs work. So as long as they have this bittul As long as they have this deference, this nullification that we are not independent, that we rely solely on the godly soul and the spark of God to make us work. So what happens when you're nullified? When you're fully dependent, you don't think of yourself. You're a nothing. So if you're nothing, you don't feel them. You don't feel it. Once the limb starts to say to itself, wait, one second. I'm an independent source of vitality. You know what I did? All of a sudden, they start to think of themselves outside this idea that they are only a recipient of God's grace, of giving them power and of making them work. That's when they start to deteriorate. So think about this for a second. So when there's nullification, no problem. They understand that all of their power, the leg, the hands, the ears, the digestive system, the heart, the lungs, everything is only there because of the spark of the Almighty. And that's the key. Once they forget that, then all of a sudden things start to break down. What does this tell us? That everything is connected, meaning that the spiritual world, that's what Hasidus was trying to tell us, that the spiritual world and the physical world are interconnected one with another. And when there's spiritual health, there's physical health. When there's physical health, there's spiritual health. Both go hand in hand like a glove over a hand. There's no bifurcation. And that's how basically the Rebbe looked every day at the entire world. That, you know what, if there's something wrong physically, we have to investigate what's going on, what's happening behind the scenes, what's really the source of this issue. Okay. So, what are you going to do? Unfortunately, illness is part of our existence. I wish it wasn't. I wish that we would all be able to just, be healthy and thrive and be fit, and just do whatever we have to do with ever having to consult a doctor. Like I always say, God willing, when Mashiach comes, the doctors will be out of business. That's it, fine. They won't have any more patients. They'll just do research for research's sake. And they won't have any patients to worry about. But unfortunately, we do deal with illness. And the Rebbe was many times confronted with people that were sick. What was the Rebbe's advice to them? Okay. So number one is, the Rebbe talked about attitude. What is your attitude? Number one, your attitude, how you are going to deal with this illness. That is going to be step number one. So we know already, if you Google and you talk about what's the best way, you'll find many. Norman Cousins was a famous cancer patient, wrote a book, Overcoming by Being Positive. This was the Rebbe's position. The Rebbe's position was, you have to be upbeat, confident. That's it. That's the only way you're going to beat it. It's the only way. If you allow the disease that you are dealing with now to turn you into something morose or negative, or it's going to beat you down in end, you know what? It's not. Healing is going to be a long and a much tougher road. But if you say to yourself, listen, I got a challenge in front of me. I have a challenge. It is a challenge. I'm not minimizing anybody's pain or illness, but I know that I'm going to beat this. I am going to beat this. And if you stay upbeat, and if you stay positive, and you stay confident, look, the end results, we're adults, right? The end results no one can predict. It's all in the hands of Hashem. But it's the way you approach this. Just the way I said in the beginning. Are you sick or are you healing? So if you tell me you're sick, then of course, where is the emphasis? The emphasis on the illness. So if you keep saying to yourself, I'm sick, then guess what happens? You're sick. You're going to be sick. If you say to yourself, I'm healing, I'm on the mend, then what happens? Then your attitude is going to be different, and you're going to be and you're going to mend. Now, at the end of the day, no one knows. Only Hashem knows, because it's in His hands. What's going to happen to us at the end of the day? But as when we're going through the process, of this, no question about it, that if you are going to stay upbeat and confident, it's going to be an easier road to hoe towards the end result of complete healing. There's an expression we're going to say it over and over again in this: tracht gut, wird sein gut. Okay, tracht gut, wird sein gut. Think positively and you will see positive results. Now, see, when most people hear this and most people say this, they don't really mean it. That's the problem. They don't mean it because it's kind of a platitude. You know what? I feel so bad for you. Let me give you a piece of advice. Trach gut wird sein gut. Okay? Trach gut wird sein gut. So, okay, fine. The person walks out. What did the rabbi say? Trach gut wird sein gut. Think positively, it'll be positively. But when the Rebbe said it, he expected it to happen. Meaning that Tracht gut, I want you to take yourself out of your present situation. I want you to clear your mind, and I want you to go, and we're gonna go a lot deeper than this. I want you to go and to think that your positive attitude is going to be part of the healing. Part of the healing. Tracht gut, think positively, wird sein gut. And they tell many Hasidic stories about this idea that, Hasidim came to different Rebbes, and the Rebbe said, Tracht gut wird sein gut, and they saw no hope, in their situation. And guess what? The things turned around. No, miracles happen. Things happen. So even when you say to yourself, you know what, I've tried everything and I just don't see an end game to it, and the doctor, I get it. Trust me, Tracht gut wird sein gut. Try this. First of all, what can you lose? What can you lose? I mean, the alternative is not much better. What's the alternative? The alternative is to sit there and be morose and cry and be defeated. And if you're going to be defeated, we know for sure that Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya that if you're up against a challenge, take two wrestlers. He uses the example of wrestling. You take two wrestlers. One is stronger, but one has a better attitude and is better prepared. Who's going to win? The one who is more confident, even though the other guy may be stronger, but the one with the better attitude, because you can't fight a problem if you're defeated. With a defeatist attitude, you've lost right away. There's nothing to talk about. I don't want to bring. I happen to be a sports fan, so many times I use sports analogies, but you may not have heard of him. But there used to be a boxer, Mike Tyson. Okay, Mike Tyson was a boxer before your days. Look. The 80s, not the 1880s, in the 80s. The 80s, okay? He was a boxer. At his heyday, when he walked into the ring, he already won the fight. Because he inspired such fear in the other guy, just looked in the other guy's eyes, it was over already. You don't even have to you don't have to have the match anymore. Already he beat him because the other guy took one look at this guy and was so fearful, it was over. It ended. Why? Because they had a defeatist attitude. And if you have a defeatist attitude, forget about it. Now, if you take strength and confidence and this and all that, then you're in good shape. But if not, the same thing is true here. When we're facing this challenge of illness, okay, and we say to ourselves, how am I going to approach it? The only way to approach it with the Rebbe's attitude is to be confident that things are going to be okay. That's it. Things are going to be okay. Why? The Rebbe explained many times in a letter, because just like water. When you look at water, what do you see? No, you see your reflection. Oh, yeah. You look at a body of water, what do you see? Your reflection. But what kind of a reflection do you see? The only reflection that you give. Meaning that if you're smiling, what do you see? Smiling. Anybody still with me? Smiling face, right? A smiling face, right? You see a smiling face. If you're angry, what do you see? An angry face. You never have you seen anything else except what you give into that reflection. You've never smiled and the water looks back at you with, what are you so happy about? Or you're angry and the water says to you, hey, what are you so angry? No, never happens. Why? Because it's just a reflection. Same thing is true about the Almighty. Your attitude is going to change His attitude. Meaning, if you're an attitude of confidence, and if you have an attitude of upbeat and positivity, how else is He going to react to you? He has to react that way. So if you're positive, He's going to be positive. If you're a defeatist, so then what are you expecting? So the Rebbe kept driving home this theme over and over and over again. You know what? stay positive, have a good attitude, do it. Okay. Who doesn't buy this? I mean, this is not revolutionary. I mean, but this has been constant throughout the ages. Not only the Rebbe, but his predecessor, all the way back, all the Rebbes in Chabad had a very, very same attitude. Challenge only can be defeated through confidence, upbeatness, positivity, and joy. That's it. No other way of doing it. You can't be morose. You can't be depressed, because that's right away who gets into your head? The Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. And when it gets into your head and starts to bring you down, and it defeats your confidence, he won. Then he lives in you like a bad relative that you can't get rid of. Those cousins. Those cousins that move in, they only say they're going to stay 3 days. 3 months later, you're still trying to get rid of them. Those guys. Come on, you know them. You may be one of them. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm not saying. Who knows? I'm not casting aspersions on anybody over here. But you know those people that you can't get rid of after. Okay. The same thing is the Yetzer Hara. Once you let him in there, the guy moves in, and it's hard to get rid of him. And it's hard to get rid of that moroseness, that melancholy feeling, that sadness. So the Rebbe said, why? Listen, at the end of the day, it's going to be all up to Hashem anyways. So let's go into this challenge with an attitude of positivity. Okay. The problem is, we're not the Rebbe. That's the problem. If we'd all be like the Rebbe, we'd have no problem. We'd all be positive, upbeat, and, doing it, right? Easier said than done, right? Easier said than done. It's always easier said than done. So how do you do this? How do you, under these trying circumstances, where we have an issue, and the issue is serious. I'm not talking about a little issue, you have a cough due to cold. Okay, I know how to deal with that, okay? Or, I have a little sniffle, so we know how to deal. But sometimes you have these issues that are very, very, very serious. Very serious. How do you stay upbeat? How do you stay upbeat? So don't worry. I'm not going to let you hanging here. The Rebbe had answers for those too. Number one, the Rebbe many times in a letter said, you're faced with a challenge, of illness. Number one is, in your head, there's only enough room for a certain amount of thoughts. Okay? Think of it as a cup. Okay? If the cup is full of water, what else can get in there? More water. Right? That's it. Your head is only open to a certain amount of thoughts. If you fill your head with enough thoughts, I'm not only talking about positive thoughts, I'm going to go somewhere else, then you're not going to have time. You're not going to be able to fill it with moroseness and despondency and melancholy and sadness. So, number one, the Rebbe encouraged those who worked to continue working as much as possible. Now here again, the key word is as much as possible. Try to fill your day with the normal routine as much as possible. And there's stories, that you can find online about the Rebbe, calling people, even people that were very sick. Rabbi Talushkin has a story, famous Rabbi Talushkin has a story where his father was an accountant, and the Rebbe asked, how come he's not working? And the guy, when he's not working, he's sick, he still has to do the books. What's wrong? I mean, it's this kind of an attitude where the Rebbe wanted you, as much as possible, that you could continue doing what you do. Meaning that if you're working and you could continue to work, do that. Now why? Think about this. It's so logical and makes so much common sense. Because again, if you are going to be busy and your mind is going to be involved in what you do, well, let's just say you yourself may be a doctor. So if you continue healing people and if you continue to be have significance in your life and you have all these things that you're doing, guess what you're not doing? Thank you. You're not worrying. All right? You only worry when there's room in the cup. But if there's no room in the cup, if the cup is full and your routine is continuing to work at it and work at it and work at it. Now again, I add the words very clearly, as much as possible. I mean, if you can't, you're not going to. But as much as possible, continue to do your routine. Because that is going to give you, number one, a sense of purpose. I mean, you're continuing to work, you're continuing to do whatever you did, and it's going to be distraction. It's going to be a distraction. And that's one of the things in our minds that we have the ability to do. We have the ability, as we're going to see later on in this course, and we've talked about this in many other courses, is the idea of channel changing. What do you do when you're watching television? You know, if you have nothing else to do, of course, you should be studying Torah. But if, God forbid, you should ever pass a television and sit down in front of it, and you click a button, and you're sitting there, and you have something comes on that you don't like. What do? Click the channel, right? Click the channel. Change the channel. Get to something that brings you joy, right? We talked about this in one of our courses. We talked about this. It's the attitude change, right? People are complaining, I'm so sad. Okay, so go to a happy place. If you're sad, if all of a sudden you're overwhelmed with sadness, for whatever the purpose is, there's this idea called changing the channel. I mean, just go to a happy place. No, I don't. What's my happy place? Come on. Everybody here has a happy place. You don't got to be Peter Pan, okay, to have a happy place. Everybody in the world. I remember one student telling me, no, Rabbi, I don't have a happy place. I said, nothing? You never, in all of the years that you lived, you've never experienced happiness at your wedding, the birth of your children, the marriage of your children, the birth of your grandchildren. None of these things ever brought, I never thought about that. You know why you never thought about that? Because you never tried to go to your happy place. You never went over there. So when you're feeling sad, and this is not only about illness, this is about anything, there's this idea of changing. Going to your happy place, riding out the sadness and coming back. I mean, we do this all the time with entertainment. Why can't we do this with psychologically? So the Rebbe was, again, this attitude of trying to keep a purposeful life going as much as we can possibly do. Look, it's hard to emulate him because he was 90 still going into the office. The man was 90 years old and he had a full day till he suffered his stroke. In 1992, every day in the office, answering letters, the leading the community. So we saw in him, in and of itself, his life was one. If you ever said to him, hey, you know what, Rabbi, maybe you should slow down a little bit. Maybe, like you're getting on in age. You're not a kid anymore. He would say, what do you mean I'm not a kid anymore? I'm just getting going. I mean, 90 is the new 87.5 or something. 90 years and nothing. What are you talking about? There's so much yet to be done. Now, maybe we can't emulate exactly his schedule or this, but the attitude we can take. We could certainly take the attitude. So when I say to you, now God forbid, if someone is dealing with an illness, how to keep a positive attitude. One way is fill your mind with things that are not worrisome. If you're an accountant, continue to be the accountant. If you're a nurse, continue to be the nurse. Continue working. Because the moment what happens, and we're going to deal next week with an issue that is a pandemic now. I should say an epidemic. I say the word pandemic. I mean, we're not going epidemic, which is mental health. Today we're only dealing with physical health. Next week we're going to be dealing with mental health. But here also, the idea is your mind can only cover a certain amount of territory. You fill that territory with positive thoughts, guess what? All of a sudden, go ahead, Norma.
I'm just thinking, I had that issue. I retired. I was blessed with a wonderful career.
Yes.
Well, what do you do? Say, bye-bye pension. I'm going to continue working. Doesn't...
No. So we talked about this. In the first class, we talked about this. That said, you know what? When someone is getting up in age and they're about to, everybody retire, you have to make a plan. You got to make a plan. What are you going to do? You've been a teacher and you had significance all these years of teaching. Now, all of a sudden, June 15th comes and they give you like a nice little ribbon and a little gift and say, thank you very much. Now, what do? So prepare. It's the 6 P's. Proper preparation prevents poor performance, right? If you prepare beforehand, and you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to retire in June, I better have something, June 16th, I better have something lined up. Otherwise, I'm going to sit at home and I'm going to wither. That's the key. That's the key to this. So here also, if you're not able to work, you have to have something else that is going to occupy your time. Otherwise, you're going to sit in a dark, cold, damp room and do what? Worry. Worry. You're going to worry. That's it. That's because your mind is going to go right to the dark spot. Right to the dark. I'm sick. I'm sick. Don't you know I'm sick? Rabbi, what do you want me? I'm sick. Listen, I'm only trying to help you. I'm not trying to get you out of your, but I do want you to get out of your comfort zone a little bit and just continue. So number one, the Rebbe said, you know what? Stay focused. Stay occupied. Work as much as possible. And then try to be productive. Here's again another thing, Norma. The productivity doesn't only have to come from your work, because your work is going to end one day. Your productivity comes from post-work, post-career. People afterwards have done so many other things. If you look around the world and you see what people have been able to accomplish, they've taken art lessons. Now listen, I always tell everybody that the one good thing about you see in the Orthodox world is that because we are so occupied with Torah study, many people do that. That's it. They spend hours studying Torah. When my father retired, not a worry, not a worry. He wasn't a TV watcher. He wasn't a big traveler, but what he loved to do was sit and learn. So he had his classes, and at night he would get together with his friends, and they would have a learning class, and in the morning he would go to shul. So he already thought about this through, and that's what he did till the very end of his life. Shul was his, and study was his world. You have to have that, because again, the mind has to be preoccupied, because if it's not, guess what crawls in? The dark spots, the dark spaces. And the Rebbe encouraged this over and over again. Don't try to deal with it, by sitting there and worrying what's going to happen. Try to be productive. And productivity comes from a number of different places. But that wasn't all. That wasn't all. The Rebbe also encouraged people, and many times he did the same thing. He said, people walked by him, because from 1986 to 1992, the Rebbe every Sunday would give out dollars. Now, why would he give out dollars? He would stand in front of his office, and people would come by, and he would present everybody with $1 and a blessing, and he would give the dollar to give to charity. Of course, no one ever gave that dollar to charity, because it came from the Rebbe. So he knew that, but he expected you to take another dollar and give it to charity. Okay? So this was called a Rebbe dollar. It was, people kept it. It was with the Rebbe's blessing, and we have a bunch of them in a safe here in Long Beach, set aside. Thank God all of my children were able to get one, from the Rebbe. Fine. People would come to him, and while he was doing this, people would ask him for a blessing. So people would say to him, I'm going for an operation. And you can go online, and you can see this through GEM, J-E-M, which is like the audio-visual side of Chabad. And you'll see many times they say, I'm going for an operation tomorrow. I'm going to be in the hospital tomorrow. So the Rebbe said to him, when you go to the hospital, what you need to do is bring a charity box with you. Bring a charity box with you, and make sure before the operation to give charity. Now, what does one have to do with the other? Explain to me. If you ask a professor of medicine at Yale University, could you tell me, Dr. Flockenhuisen, okay? What is the connection? Okay, you don't know Dr. Flockenhuisen. You can go there see the teachers in medicine. What is the connection between giving to charity and being in the hospital? What's the connection? He would say no connection whatsoever. But to the Rebbe, there was a purpose. You're going to the hospital, okay? Fine, we get it. You're going to an operation. What I need you to do is to make a vessel so Hashem could send you the blessing that you are going to come out of there 100% healed. And how are you going to make that vessel? By doing what? Helping somebody else. By making sure you help somebody else. To other people, he told, now this is okay, this is a little one step even further. You find yourself in the hospital, there's a reason why you're there. Find out what the reason is and accomplish it. God sent you there for a purpose, not because you're sick, but you need to be in the hospital for a purpose. Find out what that purpose is. To a friend of mine, Rebbe Yisrael Darren, he's on tape saying this, so I can mention his name. Unfortunately, he had a son that was sick, and he called up the Rebbe's office, and he told the Rebbe's secretary his son is sick. He said the line went quiet for a while. Then the secretary came on, and these words he said to him, and I'm sure they're from the Rebbe, was, God did not put your son in the hospital just to cause you anguish. There's a purpose for you to be in that hospital. Now find the purpose and do it. Meaning, there could be another Jew in the hospital. But even a non-Jew, the Rebbe said, even a non-Jew, and if you can, while you're in the hospital, or someone that's visiting you in the hospital, can have an effect on another person. Who knows why God did this? But if you can somehow accomplish a spiritual purpose to your illness, think of that. Then God says, hey, you know what? Look at this guy. While he's in the hospital and he's going through an operation, not only is he not thinking negative thoughts about it, but he's using his time with a purpose, giving charity, putting on tefillin, going around for another person. Okay, I'll tell you, we had friends here that unfortunately had a little boy that was diagnosed with cancer. So, and we're Memorial. You go to Memorial, they're in the Miller's Children's thing, and then you know what happens? You got to go to the oncology ward. I never was more down in my life when we had to walk the hallway. If you know Memorial Hospital, you have to walk the hallway from Miller's Children's Hospital into the hospital to go to the Children's Oncology Department. I was so down because you're taking a little kid from this and going into the ward of all wards. I mean, this is the pediatric oncologists are the tzaddikim of the world today. They are the tzaddikim of the world. The doctors that deal in this ward are just the most righteous people. Anyways, what happens? So I'm walking down and we're just not talking, of course, and I'm walking with the parents and the little boy in a wheelchair. We get there, we get upstairs and they give him a room and put him in the room there. And by the way, he's fine today. Thank God he went through all of the thing. He's fine. I went to his bar mitzvah. It's a great outcome. But till you got to that outcome, I'll see this gray hair. It was half gray for my kids. This half again. So we were there in the oncology department. And then we're there and we're just sitting around and waiting for the doctors, and other families are there. And there was one elderly African-American woman, a grandmother, whose grandson was next door to this family, and came into our room, and she took the mother and she told the mother to come outside. I was able to listen to what she was saying. And she said to her like this, in this ward, you should know, I've been here for a while. There's no black, there's no white, there's nothing. We're all in here together. And anything that you need, you should know that we are here to support you day and night, 24/7. And she was holding her. To me, I think this person developed as an angel. This was not really a grandmother. This was an angel that Hashem sent from heaven. Because this is exactly what the mother needed to hear. She was down and out. I mean, she was just devastated by the news. But this lady who just took her arm, not a nurse, not a doctor, was just a grandmother of one of the patients, and said this to her and lifted up her spirits. This is what the Rebbe is talking about. That you found yourself in the hospital, God knows why. We'll never know why this family had to go through this or why this family had to go through this. But while you are there, use the time, whatever possible, to uplift, to encourage, to inspire. And that's what this lady did. And I went back to visit a number of times and I saw her. I never saw a woman. I saw an angel that was sitting there. I don't know what happened to the grandson, and I just wish in the merit of his grandmother that I hope he's fine and strong and cured. But this is what the Rebbe was talking about. That when you're in a situation, you're in a hospital, and it's a difficult situation. We're not thinking straight. Who thinks straight? Why in a hospital? Going into all I'm thinking about is that the surgeon should not be drunk when he comes in. Should be able to cut straight. All of that. The Rebbe said, no. You're there. There's a purpose. Find what the purpose is and fulfill the purpose. Because if you're able to do that, God is never going to be a creditor. He is going to pay you back by doing that. And that's what the Rebbe encouraged. Go there and do what you have to do. So that's two things the Rebbe. Number one, positive, upbeat, joyous, and confident. Numero uno. Number two, find a spiritual purpose for what this illness is and try to do something about that. Okay? If you're in the hospital, put on tefillin, do that, Then came number three. Number three. Faith. And here is where the Rebbe used to go very deep. Because if you ask most Jews, you believe in God? Yes, I believe in God. You trust in God. There already is where I draw my line. What's the difference? What's the difference? So if you ask me, do you believe that God created the world? Yeah, sure. Why not? God created the world. You trust that God is going to do the right thing? That I'm not so sure about. Okay? So one is called emunah. That the first thing is called belief is emunah. That we believe that God created the world and He's going to do whatever He has to do, He's going to do. Right? He's going to see this project through. But this project may not have a good ending. That's what belief is. Betachin, trust, is something completely different. I trust that God will see this through, but not in a way that it's going to be harmful, but that God is going to see this through in a positive way, not in a negative way. So believe is superficial. Yeah, you believe in God? Yes, many people believe in God. You trust God. There already is a whole different world. And the Rebbe encouraged people to think about this and said, no. Tracht gut wird sein gut. Think positive and it will be positive is trusting in God, not believing in God. Meaning I need you to dig deep down in your gut, to sit there in that hospital room or in the doctor's office or at home when you're alone and dig deep into your gut. How are you going to see this through in your relationship with the Almighty? If it's something like, you know what, whatever happens, happens, belief. So, whatever happens, happens. But if you trust God and you have betachin that God cares about you and wants the best for you, you are going to say to yourself, I trust that this will have only the most positive outcome. Nothing else. There's no other options because God loves me. God cares about me. God doesn't want to hurt me. Why would God want to hurt me? So when I have that attitude of trust, not only of superficial belief, whatever happens, happens. Yeah, it's in God's hands. A lot of people say that. But that doesn't mean anything. That's, again, platitudinal. Whatever happens, happens. Really? No. Whatever happens doesn't happen. Have you ever saw something that happens that didn't happen? Never. In the history of mankind, whatever happened, happened. I promise you. Think about it for a second. No, it didn't happen. Yes, it happened. You don't need to be Aristotle to figure this out. You don't got to be the Einstein to figure out what happens. Yes, that's true. But when you in your gut say to yourself that I trust that God will see this through, not in a way that's going to torture me or that's going to be bad or that's going to be negative, but it's going to be in a positive, in a good way, in a revealed way. Not, like you can always say, look, someone breaks their leg, God forbid. All right, it's a terrible thing. But, guess what? He's not going to get drafted during Vietnam. So look at this. Look how lucky you are, man. You busted your leg and your number is 7. Okay? Meaning you're going. Okay? You're going. I can't go now because guess what? I busted my leg. Go ahead, Sharon.
Oh, sorry. So somebody, I think a lot of us wrestle with this.
The water, please, the water.
So trust the talking.
Yeah.
So even if you
Water.
see like
Another cup. Give me just a
somebody
bottle.
struggling, yeah, family member or something, and somebody passes away, and so is part of the trust the talking. We can't see all that afterwards, like other occurrences that we can't know, and somebody who has the trust would say that, and instead of saying, look, I prayed and this and that, and
so you have to believe, one of the things is you have to believe that anything that happens is for the best.
No.
But, wait, hold on one second. This is a general rule, that you know what? Gamzu l'tova. Whatever Hashem does is for the good. Now, wait. I know. This is very, very difficult for people to swallow because there's a lot of things that you look that are not good. Okay, I understand that. So there's two ways of. Number one is Kabbalah and Hasidus have always tried to push the idea that we are only seeing a very small window, that there's a much bigger window that we don't know. My thoughts are not your thoughts. My way is not your way. The idea that evil in the world, the idea of something terrible happening in the world is a challenge. Is a challenge. But this challenge has been around for thousands of years. Why this particular thing happens to this particular person, no one will ever know. No one can give you the answer. You look at the book of Job, of Eve, which is one of the most important and difficult books in the Torah. Look at guy Eve. When a good guy, a nice guy, and then he loses everything. Everything, his family, his wealth, his health, everything. At the end of the book, Hashem appears to him, and you think that yourself, now we're going to get the big answer. We're going to get the big answer. No. What does he say to him? You're nothing. You're a human being, and you will never understand my accounting system. So what does Judaism demand of us? That we say to ourselves that Kol Ma David Rachamana, whatever Hashem does is L'tav Avdin, is for the best. Can everyone reach that level? Can everyone reach that level to say that everything that happens to us, like the guy who breaks his leg, it's great. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. You know what? Now I got a broken leg, and I'm not going to go to Vietnam. It's great, fantastic. We don't see the big picture, but that's what's expected of us. So, would I ever deny someone who has really suffered? If they roll up and curl up in the corner and lay in a fetal position and don't want to listen to any consolation, can I demand anything of them? No, I cannot. Because unless you're in that position, but we do know one thing. This for sure. We know that people have gone through the worst types of tragedies and were able to live meaningful lives. I'm a living example of this. My mother should not have had anybody, no kids whatsoever. My mother went through hell, 6 years of pure hell every single day. Of 6 years. 4 years in the Lodger ghetto when there was no food, and she saw death and destruction around her every single day. Then when the ghetto was liquidated, transported to Auschwitz, where her parents were put into a crematorium with her grandparents, and 1.5 more million Jews, there in Auschwitz, and then finally ended up in Bergen-Belsen, another death camp. All my mother prayed for every day is to live one more day. That's it. Let me live one more day. She had a sister that saved her life because he told her, if you die, I'll kill you. That was what she said. If you die, I'm going to kill you. And my mother said that to her sister, if you die, I'm going to kill you. So you're not going to die on me and I won't die on you. And together they survived the war. I should not have been born. Well, my mother weighed maybe 85 pounds coming out of Bergen-Belsen. I'm here. So you could say to me, people have lived through tough times and have lived meaningful lives. Now, my mother was crazy. I admit she suffered from tremendous. How could she not? If you go through this trauma, she suffered from anxiety, but she raised me and my sister, and we lived in a sort of normal home, kind of a little normal home. And it wasn't only my mother; it was many Holocaust survivors, that did this. And it's not only Holocaust survivors. You have people. This organization called MAD. Mothers Against Drunk Drivers was founded by a mother who lost a daughter to a drunken driver. So the question of why this happened to me is never going to be answered. You could sit there and you could drive yourself crazy. What do I do from here? That's a legitimate question. That is a legitimate question. And my answer to that is I have seen in my lifetime people from our shul that have gone through tremendous challenges, and have yet been able. That doesn't mean that there's no hole in your stomach. That doesn't mean that every day you don't think about them and you don't worry, you're not sad about them. But can you live a meaningful and purposeful life afterwards? Yes, absolutely. What this means that God did this for the best, I can't answer, because if I would know, I would be. If I would know all the answers, I would be God myself. But I do say that we are able to overcome. We have tremendous amount of resilience. As human beings, tremendous amount of resilience to be able to do this. So here, even in sickness, I would say the same thing, is that you have to be able, if you want to. Now, this takes a tremendous amount of energy. Believe me, every day to get out of bed, it's hard. It's hard to get out of bed, but you can do that. People have done that, and people have, resurrected their lives and done tremendous things, even after incredible, unspeakable tragedies, have happened to them. And that's what a human being is about. But it takes, it's incredible how much effort this takes. But if you have it, you have it.
If you're alive.
What?
If you're alive.
If you're alive, you can still do it. You still do it. So the trust in Hashem is one which, Yiddishkeit demands, that, we say to ourselves that I believe, not only I believe, but I trust that God will do the right thing, and you hope that God will do the right thing, and because that He will. Trach gut, wird sein gut. Be good, think good, and it will be good. Right? Let's go to text number 7, if you don't mind. That's going to be on text number. No, sorry, text number 5. This is just two. Text number. No, I'm going to go text number 7. Let's go to 7. What does 7 say? No, sorry. 7 is going to be. I just received a letter text. That's on page 70. Page 70. I just received a letter in which you describe your present poor state of health. It might seem logical to delay celebrating your recovery with overt joy until you're actually healed. Right? That's what normally people do. They get healed, throw a party. What does the Rebbe say? Nevertheless, it is in fact reasonable to openly rejoice over your healing in advance, despite the reality that your healing has yet to occur, for such joy will actively hasten your recovery. This is in keeping with the oft-repeated Yiddish saying of the Chabad Rebbe's, Tracht gut wird sein gut. So what do you have to wait till you're completely healed? Rejoice now. Celebrate now while the healing process. Are you sick or are you healing? We're healing. So while you're healing, rejoice. Think positively and you'll see positive results. Obviously, this approach is far more effective when you translate optimistic thinking into verbalized joy and joyful activity. So when you're able to do that, the Rebbe said, he's not even fully recovered yet. He's not even fully recovered. He's still in the throes of healing. Rejoice now. Well, you have to wait till you're going to be happy. Be happy now. So you will see later on, if you look in the book, you'll see that the Rebbe encouraged one of the Israeli health ministries to change the name of what you call a hospital in Hebrew. When you have a hospital in Hebrew is what? Bet Shalom. Bet HaCholim. Yeah? Bet HaCholim. House of ill people. The Rebbe said, why? You're going to call it Bet HaCholim? Bet Refuah. He says, call hospitals Bet Refuah. Houses of healing. Not houses of sickness. Because if you put a person in there and you call him a chayla, you put him a sick person, what's he going to think of himself as? A chayla, right? A chayla. But if you put a person in a bet refuah, if you put a person in the house of healing, what is he going to think of themselves as? Healing. So even though it may be semantics, but to the Rebbe, this was an important attitude of the way of thinking. Don't call it Bet Cholim. In 1976, I believe, a group of Israeli soldiers came to visit him. They were all wounded. Pitsuim. That's what they were called in Hebrew. Pitsuim. Wounded soldiers. Rebbe said, forget the word Pitsuim. Mitsuyanim. Exceptional. That's what they should be called. These are exceptional people that went to battle for the Jewish people. We're calling them wounded? They're not wounded. They're exceptional. Why? Because if you call yourself wounded, what do you think of? Now I'm wounded. Now I'm hurt, and then I'm disabled. But if you call yourself exceptional, then what do you think of? You think of yourself as an exceptional person. So to the Rebbe, words mattered. Why did words matter? Because it was an attitude to life. It was an attitude of when you wake up in the morning and you're a mitsuyan. You're an exceptional person for what you've done. You think of yourself as an exceptional. You live an exceptional life. If you always think of yourself as a mitzua, as someone that's wounded or disabled, you're always going to look at yourself. You're always going to look at yourself as disabled. We see this attitude. You know what? The Olympics are coming. Okay? So we'll see unbelievable athletes. I mean, the best athletes in the world. They run faster, they swim faster, they jump higher, they do everything. Then comes the Paralympics. You think the Olympics are something? The Olympics are nothing. I used to watch the Olympics and I say, whoa, look at that, look how fast. I'm not. You go to the Paralympics, those are athletes. Those are people that have overcome such incredible disabilities to be able to do things that in your wildest imagination you think to yourself, how? No legs, one arm, no arms, wheelchairs, with prosthetic legs running, all of these things. And yet these people have this will to overcome and to do it. Tracht gut wird sein gut. Every one of them, if you ask them, oh, you know what? How? Tracht gut wird sein gut. I know I can do it. Because I don't look at myself as disabled. If you look at yourself as a loser, what are you going to be? Always going to be a loser. And if you think of yourself as a winner, you may be a winner. You're already a winner. Even if you don't come with first prize, you're already a winner. Okay? Now, we're just going to switch topics. So that's when it came to the patient itself. Lona, do you have a question?
Yeah,
Go ahead, please.
Two things.
Forget that.
You don't need that anyway.
Yeah. I don't call them disabled. They're called alterable.
Alterable.
Alter ability.
Yes.
Oh,
They're norm. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, good.
And the other one is I lost my trust in God
Okay.
many years ago.
Okay.
I did everything. I grew up I followed my parents, and I married a Jewish man and everything. Then our son got sick, and we went through the same thing as you did. They told me he had leukemia.
oh, gosh.
And we ended up taking him to the oncology department and seeing all the... And he didn't have leukemia, thank goodness. But he had a disease that's found in Jewish people. Because I married a man that had
Right.
the same...
Same genetics.
Yeah, the same genetics. And I lost my trust for a while. I really did.
Listen, you're normal. Okay, you're normal. Welcome to the club. I mean, this is not unique. It's a challenge. It is a challenge. But on the other end of it, it doesn't make anybody feel any better. I mean, if you think it's just random, doesn't make you feel better. You see, if there's a plan, okay, there's something. I mean, there's a purpose. I don't know what it is, but there's something. But complete randomness in this world that people are just going to, some guy gets it, some guy doesn't get it, some does, some doesn't work. It doesn't work for me, personally. Doesn't work for me. But again, I can never judge anybody until you walk in their shoes and go through what they've gone through. But thank God you're back. So nice to have you back. All right, thank you very much. So we're now gonna talk about this issue of listening to doctors. Because there are some sects within Christianity that deny this whole idea of medicine. They don't go medicine. Not Jews. Okay? The Torah clearly says, V'rapa yirape. The Torah says, and, if you hurt somebody, it was in a couple of parshas ago, if you hurt somebody, you got to pay for the doctor's, whatever, payment. You got to pay up the doctor's charges. Right there, the Talmud tells us, you see, the Torah says, we have to rely on doctors. That's it. Now you think to yourself, think about it. If we're people of faith, and we talk about trusting in Hashem, trusting. So if you trust Hashem is going to do the right thing, what I need to go to a doctor for? One or two things is going to happen. Either I'll get better or I won't get better. Okay? So if I get better, what's there to worry about? No, nothing. If I don't get better, it's also nothing to worry about. I'm not getting better. So why go to a doctor? Whatever Hashem wants me to do, I'll do. No. God doesn't want that. God wants us to live in this world. And He gave doctors permission to do healing. To do the healing. So the Rebbe's attitude was always follow doctor's advice. Don't be a chacham. If the doctor tells you to do this, this is what you should listen to. Don't run around to 20 different opinions. There were people that wrote to him, I went to 20. Why? All you're doing is chaos. Chaos is never good. Alacrity is very good. Doing it quickly, whatever you do quickly is very good. Chaos is not good. Listen to the doctor. If the doctor tells you to do it, follow his advice. And you can read letters in the book, how the Rebbe advised people to do it. He himself went to doctors, even though I told you in the beginning, the first class, when the Rebbe suffered a stroke, and he said the doctors told him to go to the hospital, but that's the Rebbe, okay? That's what we call an outlier, where the Rebbe said to them, listen, you listen to me when I tell you what to do, listen to me now as well, because I know what I'm talking about. You're not a doctor, and you're not a Rebbe either. If you would be a Rebbe, you can run your own show. But if you're not a Rebbe or a doctor, the Rebbe's advice was them. Now, what happens if you're not happy with the doctor's advice? So the Rebbe often said, seek another opinion, and seek an opinion of what he called a Yedid Rofe, meaning a doctor who also happens to be a friend, who cares for you. Not only someone, now this is a little difficult if you're dealing in Kaiser, all right? Because you don't even know who your doctor is. But we're talking about the days when the Rebbe, when you knew who your doctor was, the Rebbe said, go try to get opinion, maybe a second opinion, and maybe a third opinion. But no more. Don't go to 27 doctors running around, every guy in New York. Get a doctor, get his opinion. You don't like it, get another opinion. If the two doctors argue, get a third opinion, because it's going to be like one of the two doctors. Let majority rule. But the Rebbe's clearly believed in modern medicine, and clearly believed that you have to do what the doctors do and say for you to do. Now, we had a major crisis a couple of years ago in the pandemic, because we had doctors on two sides of the world. Now, we had here, me personally, I had a group of 5 doctors that I think that were normal. Okay? And that's kind of how I ran this kind of the situation. Based upon them, they were not radicals to the left, because it became very political medicine after a while. They're not crazy to the left, they weren't crazy to the right. They were pretty much mainstream, and whatever they advised to do, they do. So they said, get the vaccine. I got the vaccine. They weren't crazy. It wasn't crazy. They don't get 5 vaccines. Get 1 vaccine. Get 2 vaccines. Whatever the circumstances were. It's spreading. Put on a mask. You don't want to put on a mask? Don't put on a mask. But we're advising to put on a mask. So, you have elderly people in the shul. Why take the chance? We would want someone to get sick. Okay. The moment the number's straight. Okay. So here we had a little crisis in here, because the whole medical community was also, there was one thing before. I grew up in a house where doctors were sacrosanct. The doctor said something, like the Rebbe was. The doctor said something, you did it. You did it automatically. But during the pandemic, this whole idea of trusting medicine was exploded. It was totally exploded. So you have to figure out what to do on your own. But I'm talking about from the Rebbe's perspective, Varappa Yerappa, listen to the doctor. And if you can, also try to find a doctor who's a friend who cares for you. That also helps. And also, I want to go to text number 11. Text number 11, because this will. Okay, so in 1988, in a public address, the Rebbe now is 86 years old. His wife was still living, but she was not well. The Rebbe said, "Look, I'll be honest with you. Until now, I had the ability to answer everybody's questions in letters. Sometimes it took me a little longer, sometimes less. I can't do it anymore. I can't. I just don't have. I can't do it anymore. So I'm telling you now what I want you to listen to me, and this is going to be my advice. And you don't have to write in. If this happens to you, you don't have to, because I'm giving you the answer right now." So the Rebbe wrote like this. If you look at text number 11, page 75, he said like this: "My general response to questions regarding medical matters is that one should follow the advice of an expert doctor." Okay? Go to a doctor and listen to him. It is it is best to consult with two experts, and when there is a difference of opinion, again, the Rebbe was saying this in the case of where it's a serious matter. I mean, if you go to the flu and the guy writes you a prescription for medication, you don't have to go to another doctor. Okay, you can get the medication. Rebbe was talking about in the case of a serious matter where the doctor says you need an operation or you don't need an operation or do this kind of therapy or this. If you're not happy, you consult two experts. And when there's a difference of opinion, once you ask a third and follow the majority position. That's my answer. You don't have to write in every time anymore because this is a standard answer the Rebbe gave for everybody and for all times. Yeah. And that was what the Rebbe believed in medicine and believed the idea that God, again, who is the healer? Not the doctor. Not the doctor. God is the healer. Who does God send to heal? The doctor. That's it. The doctor. Why? Because he knew that Hashem, this is the way Hashem wanted it. End of discussion. Then he was always also of the opinion that physical health impacts spiritual health. Meaning that, you know what? The body was given to us for a purpose and the body is holy. Meaning that you have to do whatever you can to keep that body intact and healthy. So do that. Because why? He quoted from one of his predecessors, a small hole in the body is a large hole in the soul. Think about that for a second. We think exactly the opposite. We think, oh no, if you're not healthy spiritually. No. If you're not healthy physically, you're not healthy spiritually. So go out there and do whatever you have. So even before you have to go to a doctor, eat well, exercise, whatever you have to do is you have to keep the body healthy and whole. Because if you don't, we all know, if you have a headache, can you study? No. If you're hurting, can you study? Can you do mitzvahs? Can you come to davening in the morning with a headache or a stomach ache or a backache? No, it takes away. So a healthy body is going to impact your spiritual life. The flip side is also true. Your spiritual life is going to impact your physical life, meaning that, you know what, we have to be careful of what we do. Now, I'll give you an example, but like this. Kosher food. Kosher food, I've had people that ask me, Rabbi, really? The United States of America, 2023, 24 already. Are we in 24? Okay, good. We're still in 24. Okay, fine. You know, in 2024, Rabbi, really? I mean, these rules were written 3,500 years ago. Come on. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. A cow that chews its cud and has split hooves, no, this is good. But a chazer who has split hooves but doesn't chew its cud is no good? What's the difference, Rabbi? It doesn't make any sense. So one of the things we say is like the Rebbe said, spiritual health impacts physical health, that God, who is the ultimate knower of human beings and chose the Jewish people to give them the Torah and wants them to be a healthy nation, knew what's good for their digestive system, what's not good for their digestive system. And if he said to you that no lobster, he meant no lobster because it's not healthy for you. Now, someone's going to ask me a question, Rabbi. I know people, Jews, that have been eating lobster for 50 years, and they're perfectly fine. Good for them. I'm happy that they're fine. Which I wish them they should get sick. If I wished everybody that did an Avera to get sick, I'd be in bed myself. Okay? Why would I want that? I don't want to harm anybody. But if you look at the person's soul, it may not be so healthy. So here, he comes here that the spiritual health impacts physical health as well. Now, the fact that we see people that eat non-kosher that are not sick, so they're not sick. So I'm good for them. And, I'm happy for them. But for me, as a person of faith who believes that Hashem gave us the Torah in order for us to be the best that we can be, as much as I know that, when I go to my friend who owns a restaurant in downtown Long Beach and she tells me that the number one thing that she sells is bacon, I say, you know what? I'm a Jew and I'm not faking, no bacon. That's it. No bacon. So what do we do as Orthodox Jews? We invent faking. We invent parcheesi, not real cheese. Also, we should somehow come to the point of we almost had a cheeseburger. Not quite, but almost a cheeseburger. So we have fake meat and real cheese, or real meat and fake cheese, and you put them together. I had a hamburger today with meat and fake cheese. Comes along my friend and says, you know what, Rabbi, I've tried the faking and I've tried the bacon. There's no comparison. There's no comparison. God put something in the bacon. I tell you, I had a friend of mine who was interesting, and I'm just thinking about that. I was living in Boston at the time, and he owned a restaurant near Fenway Park. And we got friendly, and we started learning together, and it was literally near Fenway Park, and he made all his money off the Boston Red Sox, and one day he tells me, Rabbi, you know what, we've been studying, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to change the hot dogs. I'm going to Hebrew National. They used to sell the Red Sox dog. I'm going to go to Hebrew National. I said, Mike, I can't believe it. Really? You're going to change it in the restaurant? Yeah, Rabbi, I think it's a good idea. Kosher hot dogs. I'm going to have kosher hot dogs now in the restaurant. 2 months later, it comes back to me. Rabbi, I'm going back to the Dodger dog, or whatever, to the Red Sox dog. Its sales plummeted. Everybody bought the hot dogs, the kosher hot dogs. We went back our Red Sox dogs. You couldn't help it. The Red Sox dog had something in there that was special, and that's the way it is. But that I'm assuming it probably wasn't kosher. I'm assuming. But for a Jew, this is what the Rebbe meant when spiritual health impacts physical health. Is for a Jew, the best thing to do is to keep a kosher diet, to give tzedakah every day, to make sure your tefillin are kosher, to make sure your mezuzahs are kosher in your house, because all of these things are what we call protective of the Jewish body. So if your soul is in good shape, if your soul is working well, then hopefully that your body is working well. Now, again, there's no guarantees. Like I can have the kosherest mezuzah and I can have the best pair of tefillin and I'll still slip and break my leg. How does that work? Why are you asking me? If I knew the answer to all of these questions, would I be here in this class? No, I'd be running the world if I had all the answers. But we know it for the Jewish people, what has kept us going all these years is the fact that we have kept to a very strict regimen. Even though when it didn't even make any sense, it doesn't matter. This is what was good for us, and this is what we did. Unfortunately, here in America, we don't see the value of it as much. But look, we would never have gotten here. The biggest miracle is that we exist. It's the biggest miracle. We should not be here. We should be like all the other empires that came before us. But the fact that Jews still exist, and the fact that Jews still matter in the world. I mean, think about this. Israel matters in the world better for the positive and the negative, right? But it matters in the world, and we matter. Why? Because we kept faithful to an ideal, these ideals never die. These ideals, and what? Yes, go ahead.
But now people go in, as whatever, they all go into kosher, without realizing.
Yes.
Organic. Kill the animal certain way, do that way. It's almost 90% for that kosher. They don't know that.
No, because they think kosher is quality. Kosher is quality. They think that, that the animal is kosher. So they yes. And it's not as hard to keep kosher as it used to be. It used to be hard to keep kosher. Today it's not so hard to keep kosher. Yes, that is very true. That is very true. So you see again from the Rebbe's perspective that both the spiritual side protects the physical and the physical protects the spiritual, and you can't have one without the other. And then God forbid if someone was ill, wrote the Rebbe a letter in the days that he was still answering, the Rebbe would many times say, check your mezuzahs, check your tefillin. Now what's the connection? I mean, I have something wrong. I got gout. Okay, check. Now, in here, the Rebbe also had letters that for certain ailments, we know the famous story. There's a doctor here in town that had an ailment with his eyes, and the Rebbe told him to make kiddush on wine. Was it only red wine, or was just kiddush on wine? Red wine, red wine. Because it's interesting because in the other letters the Rebbe doesn't specify red. The Rebbe says to make kiddush on wine for eyesight. Now, what's the connection of this? this is what the Rebbe understood. He was a spiritual person, so he understood that for some ailments there are a mitzvah that is connected to this, and this is what you do. For other mitzvahs, there are, the checking of the mezuzah. For another mitzvah, it's checking your tefillin. For other ailments, it's giving charity. So you know what? If you knew what your ailment is and what mitzvah that you can do to heal your ailment, but that's what a Rebbe is all about. He has a spiritual insight to tell you this, for doing that. Anyways, one other thing that the Rebbe talked about is when it comes to doctors, he was very careful to always say, listen, doctors are human beings, okay? Yes, God gave them permission to heal, so what you have to do is listen to their instructions, but not to their negative prognosis, because people would write them, the doctor told me, I only have 3 months to live, so why are you listening to him? Why are you listening to him? He doesn't know. How would he know that? Well, he's gone, but people would worry, right? If your doctor told you, well, you know what, we think you have 6 months to live. Oh, okay. So they will write immediately a sharp letter to the Rebbe. I'm so depressed. My doctor told me that I have 6 months to live. So they will say, why are you listening to him? All God gave these people permission to do is to do what? Heal. They're not prognosticators. Prognosticators. Right? Yeah, whatever Stanley said. The other thing that they say. Okay? All right? But what do they? They're gonna predict exactly how long you have to live. What do they know? Miracles are done every day. New medicines come around every day. People who had heart disease, are living today longer than ever. People that had, gone some forms of cancers are curable today. Other diseases are curable today. What do they? So the Rebbe was very said, no, listen. Doctors are great. Love them. Listen to their instructions. Take the medicine, but don't listen to their negative prognosis. If the doctor gives a negative prognosis, there's no mitzvah to listen to him. Okay? Okay. And then to the doctors, the Rebbe would say something like this. Listen. When you're out there healing, there's 2 things. Because I'm from the world of not holistic medicine, the acupuncture and the all the other stuff, but I have a holistic view of the world. You have to be a partner with the patient in his healing. Meaning that, not only do you have to tell the patient, like there are some doctors that have good bedside manners, and some doctors have terrible bedside manners, but are great. They can diagnose you very well. Diagnosticians. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay. Now, the Rebbe was saying part of it is having good bedside manners, meaning that you take a personal interest. Now, it's so interesting when you read those letters because, in a sense, they're antiquated. Because if you go to Kaiser, who do you know? Till I get my doctor on the line, it could be months till I get my doctor on the line. But it used to be that you had a doctor, and the doctor was your coach. The doctor literally was your coach. He came to you and he helped you see through. Not only was he writing you prescriptions, here's your prescription, but he was encouraging you. He befriended you. He saw you through. There's a letter that the Rebbe writes, a personal thank you, text 16. I just want to read it. This was something that the doctor did for the Rebbe's wife. And if you did something for the Rebbe's wife, the Rebbetzin, he was forever grateful for you. He wrote, on behalf of Mrs. Schneerson, as well as my own behalf, I wish to convey our sincere appreciation for your kind and considerate care in connection to the recent incident that occurred with Mrs. Schneerson. Thank you for your immediate response and home visitation. That's already a little bit, you're asking much of your doctor to come home, but of course for the Rebbetzin, you're going to go home at an inconvenient hour. All this in addition to your having provided her with your expert and skilled treatment and care. I surely need not stress to you how important it is to the patient that the doctor expresses personal interest and attention, particularly as this constitutes a significant aspect of the patient's healing, that he knows that the doctor cares about him. It's not only that he's just writing a prescription, is doing a procedure. As you yourself correctly noted in the course of our conversation, the mind has a critical degree of influence over the entire body, and one state of mind directly affects the healing process. We extend our thanks and anticipation as well of your continued interest and assistance. I hope and pray that God, healer of all flesh and performer of all wonders, because the Rebbe was consistent, you are only the doctor. You're not the healer. Hashem is the healer, will bless you with success regarding all your patients, including the present one. That was the Rebbe's advice to doctors. Don't just be like a cold fish, write a prescription and just send the guy out of your room. Encourage them, help them, see them through. This is all part of process. And then the Rebbe was once asked to address through a letter to a medical convention and a conference, and the Rebbe wrote this letter: the more deeply one delves into science, the stronger one grows the recognition of the truth of the fundamental principles as well as the details of our Jewish religion. As physicians, in particular, you are in a position to refute decisively the path of materialism, as it is demonstrated by the fact that so much of physical health depends on spiritual health. This he's writing to the doctors. In the past, emphasis was placed on mens sana in corpore sana. That's Latin. How do Rebbe know? A healthy spirit and a healthy body. In our days, it is an accepted principle that even a small spiritual defect causes grievous physical harm. The healthier the spirit and the greater its influence over the physical body, the greater its ability to correct or overcome physical shortcomings. This is to the extent that even some physical treatments have a much greater impact and benefits on the body's healing when joined by the patient's determination, their willpower, and the strength of their soul. So what was he encouraging the doctors? That you are those guys, you are not only the ones that are giving the physical help, but the spiritual and the mental help as well. And when you do that, the patient feels and knows that he has an advocate on his side, that he has someone that cares about them on the side, and this helps with him. So, to wrap it all up, what does it mean? That the Rebbe's opinion was, number one, who do you trust? Hashem. That's number one. What are you? Are you sick or are you healing? If you ask them, don't even say the word sick. You always use the word healing as bet rofeh, the house of healing, not the house of illness. When you hear some news, you get a devastating report on that you're sick. What's going to be your attitude? We're going to beat this. We are going to beat this because you're going to be confident, you're going to be upbeat, and you're going to be positive. Those are the things. You're also going to look for something spiritual. Number two is you're going to keep doing what you do. That means if you're working, continue to work. You volunteer, continue to volunteer. Have as much impact with positive things in your life as possible. Keep your mind occupied. You're also going to look for a spiritual angle to this. Meaning that if, God forbid, you end up in the hospital, there's a reason, there's a person there that you need to influence. It could be your doctor. For all you know, your doctor is the guy that needs a little bit of help, needs a little bit of pick-me-up, right? It could be a nurse. It could be just the guy that's sweeping the floor. It could be another patient. Who knows why you're there? But while you're there, think about what could be some of the possibilities of you having an impact on someone else's life, as well as bringing a pushka, bringing a charity box to put in a little bit of charity while you're there. Because all of these things is like when you look into a pond of water, what do you see? Your smiling face, you see a smiling face. You look a confident face, you see a confident face. All of these things helps Hashem make his decision to do that. And also always remember that the spiritual and the physical are intertwined. There's no separation between the two. You have to have a healthy body. So no smoking, no drugs, a little bit of l'chaim. Yeah, that's okay. A little bit of l'chaim. Maybe sometimes a little more l'chaim. But like on Purim, this is the month of Purim, right? You have to have. On Purim it's a mitzvah, so the Rebbe would never deny. But he also said anybody that's under the 40 years old, said, no, only a little bit of liquor till after 40 you're on your own. But until 40, just take it easy, over there. Why? Because he cared about a physical well-being. Because you can't be healthy spiritually and be sick spiritually. And the same thing is true the other way. And to the doctors, he said to them, number one, yes, we trust in you. Only why? Why do we trust in you? Because Hashem gave you permission. And you're not, don't think of yourself as the ultimate healers, which many doctors do think of themselves as the ultimate healers. We know that. But the Rebbe would always emphasize, you're not the ultimate healer. You are the intermediary. God bless you. God bless you. You should do the right thing. But you should just know that Hashem is the one that's the healer. You are the agent, and you stick to your job. No negative prognosis. And he told the patient, why do you have to listen? I mean, you listen to every bad prognosis, you're going to make you go nuts. Don't listen to that. Do what you have to do. Think positively. And to the doctors, you should also advocate for being a good coach and a good advocate for your patients. Know that when they have you in their side, not only as someone who writes prescriptions, but someone that takes a real active interest in you and cares about you as a human being, it helps. Because the mind, like we finished off saying, the mind is a powerful tool. You know how powerful the mind is? The mind, if you set your mind to doing something, very, very few things, if you really set your mind to do it, you will be able to accomplish it. You will be. Most of us get railroaded. Let's be honest. January 1st, what does everybody in America do? They make resolutions. That's the first thing. They make resolutions. By January 15th, what do most Americans do? Forget their resolutions. Okay? But when you have a strong mind, and your mind can really have that impact because you're committed 100%, there's very little that you can't do. You can do what you set your mind to do. How can I say that with such confidence? Because it's proven every single day. Every single day throughout the world, you see people that have less money than us, less education than us, less physical ability than us, that are doing incredible, exciting things. Incredible, exciting things. We're Americans, so, we have great expectations. We have entitlements. Entitlements. If my paper comes wet in the morning, it throws me off. Chutzpah. They can't get me out dry paper. Idiot. Think about the rest of the world. Think about what's going on in the rest of the world. You sit here in beautiful Southern California. Okay, it's rained today, a little discomfort in the rain. Your paper got a little wet, so you're going to have to sit there and dry it. You know what? Put everything in perspective. Put everything in perspective. And the same thing is true in the positive sense. If you set your mind out for doing something, I'm telling you, the sky is the limit. Even when you're challenged with physical ailments. Next week, we're going to deal with emotional ailments. Those are a whole different bag altogether. We'll see what the Rebbe has to say about that. In the meantime, stay healthy. That's the best thing, so you won't have to worry about anything. Everybody agrees. Ladies and gentlemen in the Facebook world, you also stay healthy. Thank you so much for checking in. We are going to now check out. Good night.